Well, this is a different video. Well, this is something I wanted to really cover, and I thought this would be a good, interesting topic because I've seen one video in particular, and this was my inspiration for the video. It was called by the guy at YouTube channel, The Hockey Guy. He's a very good YouTube channel. Go ahead and check the link down below. But mainly, this is a link. The link provides an update of who would win the 2004-5 Stanley Cup. And I wanted to go on that and discuss my own thoughts, but also give a little bit of an update as well, talking about what would happen in the entire 2004-5 NHL season if there was no lockout. And this is interesting because we'll go through the regular season, playoff teams, Stanley Cup winner, all that stuff. And I'm also going to go ahead and talk about the Penguins as well, because the Penguins are also in this mix. So with that being said, let's go ahead and discuss who would be where and what NHL season. So I'm going to go ahead and literally do a screenshot of this because I do have one standing thing to go off of, and that is the 2003 and 4 NHL standings. And this was for right before the lockout, and I'm going to go ahead and present this to you guys. So mainly with this 2003-4 NHL season, you really have all these teams with all these good players and all these good teams. And this is how the standings looked back in 2003 and 4. Because before the Stanley Cup this year, you also have some very bottom feeder teams. You have the draft. The draft is not going to change. Like, we're going to completely keep the draft the exact same. No changes to the draft. This is just from the regular season starting in October onward. So if you look here, you got Philadelphia, you got New Jersey, you got the New York Islanders, Rangers, and the Penguins in last place in the Atlantic Division. But also, this is also before the realignment as well, so keep in mind, this is a completely different format. Then the Northeast Division, you have Boston, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and Buffalo, all the respective places. Then you have the Southeast Division, which is completely not there anymore. The Tampa Bay, the Atlanta Thrashers. This was the Winnipeg Jets before they moved to Winnipeg. They were the Atlanta Thrashers. Carolina Hurricanes, Florida Panthers, and then the Washington Capitals. It looks like the Capitals and the Penguins were the two worst teams. That's why the draft stocks were at where they were at. Then you have the Western Conference. You have Detroit winning the President's Trophy, St. Louis, Nashville, Columbus was in the Western Conference. Remember that. They were in the Western Conference. Now both these teams are both now in the East. Then you have Chicago. Then you in the Northwest, you have Vancouver, Colorado, Calgary, Edmonton, and Minnesota, respectively. And then Chicago being one of the worst teams. They were always a bottom feeder in the early 2000s, right before they had that big run. Then you had San Jose, Dallas, Los Angeles, Anaheim, and Phoenix. This was also the Mighty Ducks logo. So that's that there. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of a prediction on see which teams would end up where in the 2004-2005 season. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a little chart here. I'm going to go ahead and write down the divisions. So there's going to be the Atlantic, Northeast, East, Southeast, Southeast, the Central. Go ahead and pull up the Central. Let me see up the Central. Then you have the Northwest. And then the Pacific. So I'll go in each order, and I'm going to go ahead and give you guys who I think will finish up in what spot. So the Atlantic Division, I really honestly don't see much changing. I do see a few things changing here. I do have the New York Rangers finishing last place. I have the New York Rangers finishing last place, and I think they're probably going to regress a little bit because they're still rebuilding, and this is before they got Lundqvist, so I think that they're going to regress a little bit. I think they're probably going to be around 65 points. That's a fair estimate. Pittsburgh, my favorite team, won't do much better, but they having Evgeny Malkin and Marc-Andre Fleury in his second season will do a little bit better. So I have to give a right around range of 69 points for the Penguins. because the Penguins were right before Sidney Crosby. They still have a long ways to go. Then you have the New York Islanders at the third. I really don't think that position is going to change. New York Islanders will finish in third place. I think they will regress a little bit, though. I think they're probably going to get around 87 points this year. I think that their talent definitely decreased that year because I've been watching fall hockey. This is right around the time where I started following hockey. Is right after the lockout season, so I'm just adjusting everything to where I would see these teams improving. Second place, I have Philadelphia Flyers. I think the Flyers do have some great scoring depth, and they were pretty good back in the early 2000s. They were pretty good, so I can't go wrong there. Philadelphia Flyers, I probably would say they probably finished like the second playoff spot, probably around, I'm going to say 99 points. I think that they'll regress a little bit, but I think that they're still a very good playoff team. And then finally, I think the Devils will probably be the biggest improvement. I think that they're going to improve very well, and I think they could definitely be the top team in the East because look at the top division winners. If you guys look at the top division winners, there was only about 5 points separating the top team from the rest of the teams. So you really don't have that parity that many other teams have, but this could see that the Devils could probably be one of the top teams. I think the Devils, especially with Martin Brodeur, what I've seen play live, and I've seen Scott Stevens and all those other great defensemen. I think that the Devils will probably have the best record in the Eastern Conference, and probably with the President's Trophy. I don't think the President's Trophy team scores more because look at Detroit. They had 109 points. I say 108 is probably the President's Trophy winner. I really wouldn't think that the points total for much of these teams would improve that much. So I probably would give New Jersey the President's Trophy as the top team in the Atlantic Division. Now the Northeast Division, I really don't see much changing. I think Buffalo will probably be one of those teams you could really count for, that being one of the bottom tiers. I think they're probably going to be staying right around 83 points. Not too much regression, but I still think they're bottom of the division. Montreal Canadiens definitely do have some depth. I think they will definitely improve this year over, because this was keep in mind also, this was the most competitive division in the entire Atlantic Division in the Eastern Conference. This was the most competitive division, and this was the best one by a mile. So I think Montreal will definitely improve. I think Ottawa definitely would improve as well. I think Boston would probably have the biggest drop out of all these teams. I think Boston would finish in fourth. That is crazy, and many people will be like, oh, how do you think Boston's going to be bad? I think that their talent wouldn't be as good compared to last year, and Boston really didn't do much of the playoffs that previous year. So I probably would give Boston, I'm going to say 97 points. Not too bad. But they'll still be a playoff team. I still think that they're going to be a playoff team. Then you have the Ottawa. I think the Ottawa Senators will probably have the next spot here. Ottawa not changing positions. I think that they'll probably be at 100 and 100 points even. Not too much regression, but they're still a great team with Dominic Hasek at the goaltending spot. You really can't doubt him. Then second place, I probably would have Montreal. They have Jose Theodore in net. They have great defense. Really can't bet against it. I probably would have to give Montreal the biggest jump of points. I'm probably going to say they're going to jump to 102 points. I definitely think they're going to be increasing a lot. And then finally, the division winner, I think Toronto. They do have some of the best depth, but they're definitely an older team. So, and then I think Toronto will probably finish at 105 points. Now let's move to the Southeast, probably the weakest division out of the whole thing. The weakest division, Southeast, Tampa's going to stay at the top. There's really no doubt about that. I think they're probably going to be at 107 points. I think they'll increase slightly, but they're still a little bit behind, though. So just give me 1 second. Sorry about that. But then let's go ahead and go into the other teams. Tampa Bay 107, no change there. I think Atlanta will probably still be in the same spot. I think Atlanta will probably improve. I don't think they'll be that good, but the rest of the teams are going to be like, eh. Give me a second here. All right, so sorry, there's a little bit of an issue there with audio. I do apologize. So let's go ahead and continue. Atlanta, I do not see them really improving too much, but I think they will improve slightly at 80 points. The Southeast division is pretty much the worst division, and it's going to continue on to next year. I think the Panthers will probably be the little bit better team than Carolina. Now, here's the thing that I would be surprised at: Washington. I think Washington will probably have another jump in points. I think Washington will probably be a bit better than many people think, especially with Alex Ovechkin having his first year there. I think Washington will be in the bottom, but I think they're going to jump to 70 points. I really do think that they're going to have a huge jump, especially with Alex Ovechkin. He's going to help them really capitalize in that division. Florida, I probably would say, was 79 points. Then Carolina, probably around the 74, I probably would have to say. Now let's move to the Central Division. Detroit, I don't see them really stopping what they're doing. I'm going to say they're probably going to be the top team in the Western Conference. I don't think that's going to change. I think they're going to probably be at 106 points, though. I think they'll be a little bit weaker than they were last year. Nashville, I think Nashville will probably improve a little bit, especially since they made the playoffs that last year first. So I probably would give them 97 points. Definitely a good margin. St. Louis, I still think will make the playoffs too. I probably would say St. Louis is probably at 95 points. I think they're going to improve. Columbus and Chicago, though, are still going to be pretty bad. Columbus, I think, will be – actually, I think Chicago will be a bit better than Columbus. I think Columbus will be one of the worst teams along with the Penguins. I probably would say that the Columbus Blue Jackets are probably going to be 62 points. I think that they're going to stay at what they are. Then Chicago is going to go from 59 to 63 points. Not too much of a jump, but still just a slight one. Two more divisions to go. The Northwest Division, Vancouver. I think Colorado will be the top dog in the division, followed by Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, and then finally Minnesota. Not much change, but I'll go over the points in just a second. And then Pacific, really no change whatsoever. San Jose, Dallas, Los Angeles, Anaheim, and Phoenix. I really don't think there's much change there. Colorado, I probably think will be competing the most, 105 points. I think they'll top their division. Vancouver, even 100 points. I still think that they're a great team. Calgary, I'm probably going to say is 94 points. Not too bad for them. Edmonton, I'll probably say they'll get right around 86. Then finally Minnesota, I think will be in the 80-point range. Then the Pacific Division, you have San Jose. I think they're going to stay at 104 points. Dallas will probably be at 102 points. I think that their goaltending will improve a little bit and their defense will be a little bit better. Los Angeles, I'd probably say at 86 points. Fair enough. Anaheim, 75, not much of a drop, but they'll still be pretty bad. Then Phoenix will probably be at 72 points. I think they'll have a slight increase. Essentially, just they're picking the drafts, so they're pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and go over my sheet here. I'm going to go ahead and just 1 second here. So let me go ahead and pull this up here. This is my updated chart. You go ahead and look at each division, the Atlantic Division. I know the camera is a little bit backwards, but I'm going to go ahead and mark off the playoff teams. So with the playoff teams, I think that there are 8 spots. Don't forget that there are 8 spots in the playoffs. There will be some pretty bad teams making it in, but still, probably would give the last spot to the Island. I don't think the playoffs will change too much, but it will change a little bit. So Detroit will be the Z team by a 1x. Colorado, Y. All right, I do have my official brackets here, so I'm going to go ahead and do another page real quick and do where I think each team will mark off. Since this is the 1 versus 8 matchup, and you can do this is the 1 versus 8 format, not like the format is today. Let's go ahead and I'll do my bracket. All right, so I'll go ahead and do my brackets real quick. I'll go ahead and put this on the side. Now let's go ahead and go through each of it. So it will be, let's go ahead here, the quarterfinals. I'll go ahead and start off with New Jersey being the number 1 seed facing off against the Islanders. So that's one matchup. Then you have the second spot, the Tampa Bay Lightning facing off against the St. Sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it'll be Tampa Bay versus Boston. Definitely some good matchups in here too. Tampa Bay, Boston. You have Toronto versus Philly. And last but not least, Ottawa versus Montreal. Montreal versus Ottawa. All right, and then the Western Conference, you'll have Detroit opening up against, I'm going to pull my thing up here. It's Calgary. Then you have the Colorado Avalanche versus the Colorado versus St. Louis. St. Louis. Then you have San Jose versus Nashville. Think about that fun. That's an interesting first round matchup. San Jose versus Nashville. And then you have the Dallas Stars versus the Vancouver Canucks. All right, so here are your matchups here for the first round. It is, I'm going to go ahead and order. New Jersey Devils versus the New York Islanders, the 1 versus 8. The Boston Bruins versus the Tampa Bay Lightning, 2 versus 7. Then you have the Philadelphia Flyers versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, 3 versus 6. Then you have Montreal versus Ottawa, the 5 and 4 matchup. And then the quarterfinal, and then the Western Conference, Detroit versus Calgary, 1 versus 8. Colorado versus St. Louis, 2 versus 7. Nashville versus San Jose, that'd be 3 versus 6. And then 4 versus 5 for Vancouver and Dallas. So let's go ahead and predict each round, each matchup. So New Jersey Devils versus the New York Islanders. I don't see the Islanders really playing much of a fight. I have New Jersey in 4 games. 4 games to none. Really don't see much of a competition for the Islanders. I think the Devils are just too good defensively. Boston versus Tampa Bay. Now, this is an interesting matchup. Tampa Bay is a very good team coming off the winning the Stanley Cup last year, getting it face off against Boston. It's a very interesting matchup. I know they played this year, but this year it was definitely another precursor. I think Tampa Bay is just a little bit better than Boston, but Boston could definitely give them a good fight. I would say Tampa Bay wins that series 4-3. So Tampa Bay would be on the bottom here. Then Toronto versus Philly. This I could see as an upset pick right here. Philadelphia over Toronto. I could definitely see Philly getting the win. I could definitely see them getting a series win. But in the end, I just think Toronto's just a little bit better with their positioning. I say 4-3, setting up a Tampa Bay-Toronto matchup. Then finally, the Montreal Canadiens versus the Ottawa Senators. This is probably the best goaltending matchup of the entire playoffs. Dominik Hasek versus Jose Theodore. Great goaltending in this matchup. But you got to have the offensive depth to really score. I think Ottawa just has too much scoring for Ottawa to handle, for Montreal to handle. So I would probably give Ottawa the lead 4-2. And that would set up Ottawa versus New Jersey, and then Toronto versus Tampa Bay. In the western side, Calgary and Detroit. I think Detroit is definitely going to get a fight out of Calgary, but I just think Detroit's too good. 4-1. Detroit moves on. Then you have Colorado, St. Louis. I think St. Louis can definitely give Colorado a fight, and they could provide an upset, but I just don't see it. I think Colorado's just too tough, too aggressive. 4-2. Colorado gets it done. Then you have San Jose, Nashville. Nashville's a little bit better team. They've gotten a little bit more progress since their last time, which was 2003, was their first playoff berth. San Jose just have too much good goaltending, especially with getting Nabokov. I got San Jose moving on. Then Vancouver, Dallas. This is an interesting one. Vancouver's usually not a good playoff team, though. Dallas, I think, has great goaltending. They have experience. I got to give the edge to Dallas. I'm going to say 4-3, and then in San Jose, Nashville, I'd probably put it 2-4. So you have your not really much of a surprise other than Ottawa moving it. So then you would have some interesting matchups here. In the Eastern Conference, Ottawa, New Jersey. I think this is definitely going to be probably the two best teams that have a chance of making it. But Hasek versus Brodeur is a phenomenal matchup to watch, goaltending-wise. But New Jersey with their defense is just too dang good. I really don't think that Ottawa can really combat against New Jersey's defense. You do have scoring to get past Montreal. They're not going to get past New Jersey. I got New Jersey moving on to the finals. I'm probably going to say 4-2. I just think New Jersey is just too strong, realistically. Such a Brodeur in his peak. Then you have Toronto, Tampa Bay. Wow, this is interesting because Tampa Bay is the defending Stanley Cup champions. Toronto does have great scoring, great talent. Tampa Bay does not have the depth, especially after this year. They wouldn't have enough depth to compete with Toronto. Toronto does have the age that can be a crux to them. I think Toronto can definitely provide an offset, but also look at the history, recent history. You have, other than the 97-98 Red Wings, no team is repeated. I just don't think Tampa Bay can get past Toronto. I think Toronto would just be too good. I think Toronto is going to get the edge, 4-3, and we have New Jersey in the finals for the Eastern Conference. And then the Western Conference semifinals, you got Dallas and Detroit. This is really going to be an interesting matchup right here. These two teams really well know each other. Dallas has been in the finals many times. Detroit's been one of the top teams of this decade. They won the 2002 finals. I just think that Detroit would be a little bit better than Dallas. I think this would be a hard-fought series. I probably would say a 7-game series. especially with how deep Dallas is. But Detroit, I really can't bet against Detroit, especially with Detroit being their prime in the early 2000s. I got to give it to Detroit 4-2. I really just don't think Dallas can compete against them. San Jose, Colorado. Okay, now this will be a fun series to watch. And Colorado has had a history of being the Sharks before in the playoffs. San Jose, when it comes to the big stage, they always tend to crumble. The second round is where they always run. I think their first time went to the third round was it 2011 against the Canucks? I'm not 100% sure, but San Jose, Colorado, I definitely think it's going to be a hard-fought series, but you have Nabokov. I'm trying to remember who the goaltender is for Colorado. I know who it is. But you have Joe Sakic on the Colorado Avalanche, too. The age is showing a little bit, but you know what? I got an upset here. I think San Jose gets the job done in 7. I think that they would get it done in 7 in Colorado, exercise the playoff teams, and get to their first finals, especially since it's a crazy season in general. And they would face off against Detroit in the Western Conference Finals. So, Final 4. Toronto, New Jersey, San Jose, Detroit. Wow. I think New Jersey I think Toronto at this point, even though they got past Tampa Bay and then they got past Toronto in both 7-game series, the age is going to show. They're going to be tired. I just think New Jersey's going to overexpose them, and I see New Jersey just moving on in 5 games to the finals. There's one team that's not like the rest, and that's the Toronto Maple Leafs. So New Jersey would be my first team in the Stanley Cup Final. Then San Jose, Detroit. Nabokov, Hasek. No, it's not Hasek. Oscar, that's what it is. Oscar versus Nabokov. Marlowe is just coming to his own, though. Detroit, they were in the finals in 2002. They won over the Carolina Hurricanes. It's hard to bet against Detroit and their experience. It really is. But San Jose, it really sounds like this team could do something, especially with the Anaheim Ducks making it the past year. I know many hardcore hockey fans would want the rematch of the 95 final, which was New Jersey-Detroit, where Detroit ended up losing at 4. But San Jose would be a great match of the New Jersey as well. It's hard to really pick who would be the best team, but in the end, I just think that San Jose just doesn't have enough to compete with Detroit. I think it's going to end in 7. The heartbreaking Game 7 where Detroit wins in overtime. And also, the Stanley Cup Final, 2004-05 Stanley Cup Final. Detroit, New Jersey. In the final. Rematch at 95. The Red Wings are going to be very hungry, especially since New Jersey beat them in Brodeur. Fun fact, when I was a kid, I saw Brodeur play in 94 when I was 2 years old, so that was fun. But Brodeur, Osgood, probably the 2 best teams of this era, of the 2000s, early 2000s era, were the Devils and the Red Wings. And I think that probably would be be hard to bet against those 2 teams meeting up in the final. It really would be hard against it. This could go either way. Realistically, a Detroit, New Jersey series, unlike in 95, this one would probably go either way. It'd be tough to really see Detroit get past New Jersey, but Detroit can definitely be the team that could give New Jersey the most trouble. Because at this point, New Jersey would have won they only finished in, let me go see, it's 12, only 13 games. And they'd be setting a record if they were able to, just like the Golden Knights this year. New Jersey would definitely be on pace to really set the win record, because I think the Oilers did it in 18 games. No, wait, was it? Yeah, it was 18. It'd be in 18 games. I don't think New Jersey would be that good and break the record, but it's hard to bet against Brodeur and that defense for New Jersey. Back in the 2000s, they were the most dominant team. They won in 93. They won in 2001. I mean, they won in 2000, won in 2000, were close in 2001, lost game 7, won in 2003, the year before the Lightning won. And I just got to put it, guys, I just don't think Detroit would be able to match with New Jersey's defense. So, final, I don't think this will be a sweep. I do not think this will be a sweep, but 4 games, 2, New Jersey Devils win their 4th Stanley Cup. Brodeur is a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest goaltenders of all time. He salutes and he puts himself in the greatest Hall of Fame of all time. This would be hard to really see New Jersey not winning and be cementing themselves as one of the greatest teams of the decade. If New Jersey won this would have been their 3rd Stanley Cup since the year 2000 started. It would have been their 4th one they've been. It would have been the one. Yeah, it would have been the 4th one. It would be the 5th one they went to. Into 2000s, because they went in 2000, 2001, 2003, and then this year, this would be their 4th one. And then they won in 95. Since 95, this would probably be the most dominant run in all of NHL hockey, would probably be between the Devils if they were to win in 2005. I really think this would be the one from 95 to 2005 would be one of the most dominant runs I've ever seen for an NHL team, with the New Jersey Devils. Being such a contender that they were from 95 to 2005, if the 2005 season was to happen, the Detroit Red Wings would be good. They'd be definitely a great team, but New Jersey would just be a bit better. And I think definitely New Jersey would be the team of the decade, because many people consider Detroit Red Wings the team of the 2000s, which I really can't go against that. That's really hard to bet against it. They did win in 2002 and 2008. There really was no dominant team in the 2000s other than the Devils. The Devils would have won that 4th, would have won their 3rd in the 2000s. You could definitely consider them the team of the decade. But I think this will be the last one for a long time. I think they would definitely still made that run in 2011, 2012 when they faced the Kings, but it's really hard to see if they can improve on this one. If they win against Detroit 4-2 and they finish in 17. I mean, it would be 19 games, so, but they tie it, but still. I think New Jersey would win. Now it leads me to one final point. One final point for this 2004-2005 season. Who would be the number 1 overall? Who would get the number 1 overall pick? Who would win the Sidney Crosby sweepstakes? This is the last thing I wanted to go over. And you definitely do have a lot of interesting things happening if this happens. For the lottery, they had a different lottery system when they did change it to where you had either 3 balls, 2 balls, or 1. And that would result in you getting the pick that you want. So before this simulation season happened, 4 teams had 3 balls. Sabres, Blue Jackets, Rangers, Penguins. And 2003-2004, you could see why they're some of the worst teams. Like, I can understand that. Blue Jackets were pretty bad. The Rangers were pretty bad. The Penguins were bad. And the Sabres were pretty meh. This one, I think, could be a little bit different. The 3-ball teams would be the Rangers. I don't see that changing. I don't see Buffalo changing. Columbus, I don't see changing either. But I think a new team comes out and gets that one. Let's see real quick. Because remember, the Washington Capitals went from even one of the worst teams. I probably would go with the Penguins as the 4. I don't think the 3 would change. The first 3 would change. But it would change a lot of other things, though. I think Washington would move up to 2. I think Phoenix would definitely have a chance of getting that 3 ball. You can argue with either Pittsburgh or Phoenix getting that 3rd one, because Phoenix was going to get that chance of that 3rd ball. They were one of the teams that were really close to getting that chance. This season they could have done it, especially since the Penguins finished in 2nd ahead of the Rangers. But I really don't think that the draft results were to change too much. I do think that a few of them would change. I think Pittsburgh would have jumped up and gotten the 1st pick. It's really hard to bet against it. But I think that some things definitely don't. I definitely do think that some things change. I don't think Bobby Ryan's going to Mighty Ducks Anaheim. I think he's going to go to Phoenix. I do think that there are a couple teams that do change their positions. Because a lot of these teams, I definitely think that their positioning could definitely change. I think the Rangers move up and get a top pick. It would be hard to really bet against it, but this could be an interesting topic for another day, how the draft would change. But I really do think that Pittsburgh would have had the best chance of getting overall. Probably Columbus would be a good chance, too, to getting him. Because Columbus, I think, was one of the teams to get 3, and they ended up at 6, which is a little ridiculous. But that's the fun of this. This is the fun of doing these simulations and seeing what will realistically happen to these teams. It'd be interesting to say the least. What if there was an actual, if the 2004 and 5 season actually happened? But that's for history to decide. What if the Devils would have won? But you never know. That's what these videos are for, and this is why I just wanted to do it. So that being said, guys, thank you all for watching. I think this was a fun video to do. I think this was a little bit of fun to do. A little bit something a little bit trivial, especially since it's raining. I really don't have much to do right now. It's Florida, but I feel like this was a fun video. But it's hard to bet against the facts. I think New Jersey would have been the team to win the Stanley Cup and make their case as the dominant team of the 2000s. But you never know. You never know what could have happened in the 2000s. 2004 season. You really don't know. Maybe the Penguins wouldn't have gotten Sidney Crosby. You never know. So that being said, guys, if you guys like this video, let me know in the comments. Let me know like this video and comment and subscribe if you like my channel, want to see more content, and let me know in the comment below, what do you think would happen if the 2003-2004 NHL season would happen? Would the results be different than this? You never know. But with that being said, guys, see you guys later. Stay awesome. Have a great night.